Is what my blesser did to me when he went with me to Dubai. I have since discovered that all that glitters is not gold. How are you, my brother? Can you please post for me as Anon? But I want you to hide my real name. You can call me Dimagato. I'm 32 years old and I do come from Utlokwa, but my story, it started when I was a student in Johannesburg. Growing up, we went to the ZCC church. So at home, there was no freedom. There was no freedom at all. If I wanted to go out to a groove with my friends, my mother will totally refuse. If I would dare go there without her approval, then my mom will beat the hell out of me. It was so painful, and I did not understand that my mom, she was trying to protect me from what could happen to me. And later on, I realized that my mother, she was not an evil person. When she would disagree when I wanted to go out to a groove, it was because she wanted to protect her daughter as a mother. And when you are growing up in a home where your parents are really strict, you do not understand why they are strict. Maybe if you have a child that is very rebellious because you are always forcing your child to pray and to fast, maybe you need to sit down with your child so that they can understand. When my mother would force us to pray and to fast, I would say that she is cruel. But now I can see that my mother, she was trying to protect us from what she called village witches, as well as other people that are evil as well. Eventually, I met a guy that was a human trafficker, and I am hoping that when you share my story, you are going to help other women as well, not to end up being trafficked like the way that I was. When I came to Johannesburg, I thought that it was now freedom for me and I was out of jail. I used to call home prison. Whenever it was time for us to return back home to Butlokwa for holidays with my auntie, who was working and staying in another location where I refused to stay there with him because I said that she is too controlling, and besides, I claimed that it was very far from UJ. So I was staying in another location where I had all the freedom that I wanted in this world. I would say that we are returning back to prison, returning back to be forced to pray. But I ended up making a mistake and it almost destroyed my life. I nearly died. When I arrived in Johannesburg to study for my degree, I was happy because it was the first time that I was living on my own, far away from my parents. Back home, there were many rules. You had to explain where you were going. You had to return on time. You had to respect everyone. In Joburg, I felt like I was a free bird, finally escaped the cage. At first, I was someone that was calm, reserved. I even looked for a ZCC church and I started to go there, but a different one than the one that my auntie was attending. She said I was supposed to come to a location, but I said no, and I was going somewhere else. I would go to UJ, go to school, and come back. Gradually, I started socializing with new people. I started going to events, to parties, and other places that I never imagined I would ever go to. I got to know many people from different countries. Some they were in Zim, some were in Mozambique, some were Nigerians. These were guys that I was dating specifically online. Some of them they had no means to transfer money to me, and I would refuse to send them my nudes. I was literally selling my nudes. When I started this journey, I would sell my nudes for MTN airtime, and then I would go to the Pakistan, and then I would sell the airtime to him, and he would sell it in his bazaar shop. Because I used to get a lot of this airtime, guys would be sending me 200 worth airtime. So I would go there and I would sell the 200. maybe for about 100. If things were tight, I would even sell the airtime for 50 rand, even for a loaf of bread. I was just doing this to survive because the mentality that I had was that since these guys, they are not sleeping with me, I'm not really losing anything, am I? So I would just sell my pictures to them and they would give me the airtime. And others, they would do e-wallets and they would send me e-wallets. Eventually, I started to meet other guys. There were guys that would come to me and they would beg me. They'll be like, let us meet at a certain chill spot. And then we would go to that guy's place where we would end up sleeping together. So that is how I ended up literally prostituting myself. One day, I went to a certain open field event that was full of people. It was nice. And I was used to be in that type of an environment. That was when I met a guy that I would call Mike. He was from Nigeria. He was about 51 years old, but he acted like a person that was 25. He was immature. And I liked the fact that he wanted to act as if he had money. He was telling the women that he was with that he was very rich. And I approached him and I told him that there was a guy that I was supposed to meet at that event. And now that it was getting late, this guy did not pitch up and I did not have any money to return back home. This guy looked at me and I'm pretty sure that in his mind, he was like, girl, you have come to me and I'm going to sleep with you so that I can give you transport money. I really did not mind because when I approached this guy, that was my intention to get his attention. And then if he wanted us to sleep together, we could do it anyway. I really did not mind because I was at that event to collect as much cash as I could. This guy then said to me, instead of us going to your place, how about you come with me to my place? We sleep, then tomorrow I will take you out and then I will go with you to the place where you stay. I agreed and we went to his house. We slept together and this guy, he was someone that was really nice. Within a few weeks, we were so much into each other. He would buy nice things for me. He would take me to different restaurants and he was always giving me money. So I stopped sending my nudes to other guys like what I had been doing when I was not having a blesser that would give me money consistently. There was no need to sell my nudes anymore on Facebook. There was something that I did not know. Mike was not a person who had money as he claimed to have. He was just living a life that was full of lies. He always made himself to look so rich, but he was not rich. Even when we went to his apartment, it did not even look like a house that belonged to a rich guy. And even the rentals, when I asked him low key how much he was paying for the rental, it was a rental that any guy that has a decent job could manage to pay. And if he was that rich, he was not supposed to stay in such a neighborhood. If anyone had warned me at that time, I was going to listen to that person. I was not going to listen to that person because I was in love. When a person is in love, you only choose to see what you want to see. 2 months passed. One day, Mike came up with a proposal that made me to be insanely happy. He said that he wanted to take me to Dubai. When I heard that, I thought that my dreams were coming true. I had never been out of Africa. I immediately called my friend and I sent the screenshot of the chat with Mike, and she said, "You are so lucky." Finally, the day of the travel arrived, and then we went to the airport and we booked and we were in Dubai. At first, everything seemed like it was normal. We were staying at this other nice hotel. All of a sudden, Mike started to tell me the truth about where his money was coming from. Mike, he was a pimp, and he told me that he made money from his girlfriends. At first, when he told me that this was what he did, he would bring girls from Africa so that they can work and he can split money with them. I could not understand and I could not believe him. But he said that his job was that, and he could not change for me. His job was to look for girls and to connect them with other people. And he then told me that in order for me and him to return back to South Africa, we were supposed to work together, to work in Dubai. He lied to me that he did not book return tickets. I started to cry, Brother Nashim. He then said, baby, do not cry. I do not mind another guy touching you so that we can be able to become millionaires. I suspect that maybe he was giving me some sort of drugs because he was always giving me juice. Whenever I would feel that I have a dry throat, he would give me this juice that would make me to feel like I want to be intimate with him instantly. He gave me that same juice and I wanted to be intimate. He then said, instead of you finishing all of that sexual energy on me, how about we go to a club? He then went with me to a club. When we were at that club, he then told me that there was a guy that was going to come and to talk to us at the place where we were sitting. He had already spoken with him via an email. So there was a guy that came. It was an Arab guy, and then he came, he was looking at me, he was smiling. And then he said that you can go with him. It is safe, do not worry. He even asked me if I wanted him to be in the same room that I was going to be with that guy. And I said, hell no. I was forced. I went with that guy to another hotel and I spent a night with that Arab guy. He was the first Indian man that I had ever slept with in my entire life. I could not believe that this man, he had forced me to do something like this. So after I had slept with the first Arab guy, it was like an everyday thing. I do not know even to this very day how much I was making because he was the one that would communicate with those Arab guys and then he would just say, you're going to sleep with such a guy. I was being taken from one hotel to another and there was not even a single moment that he took me out shopping like he had promised me that he would do. And all that I was doing was to prostitute myself. To someone else, you might say that you deserve everything that happened to you because where were you going in the first place? But I never knew that this guy that I was sleeping around with, he was a human trafficker. I was being a prostitute. There were times when he would force me to stand in the street. There was a way that we would stand in the street so that the police won't even suspect. So those guys in Dubai that buy prostitutes, it is illegal to buy a prostitute in Dubai, but there is a way that you communicate and you walk in front. The guy will be following you behind as he'll be instructing you. He'll be like, okay, now take a left turn, walk straight ahead. We are going to that hotel over there. When you arrive at the hotel, the guy book another room and you book your own room. He would have given you the money. And then when you are in your room, he will later send you a message. You can come to my room. I'm ready. Or he will ask you, are you ready? And then he would come and join you in your room. You sleep with each other depending with how much Mike would have gotten paid. From the time that I was in Dubai, when I returned back to South Africa, the only money that Mike gave to me, it was 25,900 after spending 3 weeks in Dubai. And I slept with a lot of men, more than 20 guys that I slept with. What really hurt me is that some of these guys that I would sleep with, they had this weird fantasy. They wanted me to act as if I was like a dog. I don't want to go into the details, but I was doing what they call porta potting. All of this I did for a mere 25,000 rands that he handed that money to me when we were back in South Africa. Finally, when my time was done in Dubai, and then we returned back to South Africa. When we returned back, I don't know, I think that he was using some sort of juju on me, because all of a sudden I continued loving him, even though he had been selling me to another man, but I was supposed to break up with him, and then I kept on loving him. He then told me that he wanted us to get married. So eventually, I got married to this guy. We went to Home Affairs and we got married, and we had a marriage certificate. Through me, he got his visa. So after he had gotten his visa, he was someone that was always switching his phone on me. One moment he's in Cape Town, another moment he will tell you that I'm in Mpumalanga, I will come next weekend, and he would not even come. I did not understand what was happening and the kind of a man that I had gotten married to, but I still loved him. Unfortunately, I had to remove a pregnancy because he skipped the country. The guy went and he borrowed money. He borrowed a lot of money. I was taken to court. I told the judge that I am unemployed. I can't afford that money that he borrowed, because he took 1 million, but he took this money from his account. But when he was doing this credit check and stuff, he filled my phone number as the next of kin and as the wife as well, meaning that I am in debt. But I said, arrest me if you want. I don't have money. Where am I going to get the money that you are saying that it is 1 million? Look at me. Do I even look like I have 10 rand in my pocket? That is what I told the magistrate. And they said that I am still supposed to pay the money to the bank. So far, I think they are tired of calling me, because they have been calling me for years and years. And I'll say, I'll pay. I'll make a payment plan, and I can't. I just tell them that I'll start paying next month, and then I do not pay it because I do not have money. So this guy, he is gone. What has brought me here is that I want to know, I am married to a Nigerian person who is no longer here in South Africa. How do I make my life to be okay? Because I finished my degree, and to work a job where money lands in my account, it is really difficult, because that money would be taken because I have a bad debt. I can't own a car, I can't borrow a phone, I can't even have a normal contract, even a clothing contract, because I am blacklisted. So it really hurts me. Last year, I heard from someone that Mike was seen in Ukraine. He is in Ukraine. I heard that he is doing recruitment on Facebook. He is hiring Africans, and he tells them that there are jobs there in Ukraine. When they get to Ukraine, they are given guns to go and fight. That is what I heard from another person, a Nigerian woman that knew me and Mike. So she just came to my Facebook and she was like, yo, do you know that right now is in Ukraine? If a person you married disappear for many years, how does the process of getting legally divorced to him work? Because I want to close this chapter of my life. I don't have any anger in him. I do not want to revenge him. I just want people to help me to find him, so that if he divorces me, then we can get a divorce and we cancel this marriage. If there is anyone willing to assist me, what do I do? And I once went to Home Affairs, and the woman that I was telling my story, she just laughed at me and she said, you need to find him and divorce, and we cancel the marriage. I don't know if she was just heartless, she could not understand my situation, or if that is the process. If there is anyone really who can understand my situation, I am begging for your help. I'll be following you in the comment section, Brother Nashin.